We are about to break down key details most people are missing.
We've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly. It was over nuclear, very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon.
在相关方业已达成临时停火安排的情况下 Under the ceasefire agreement reached by relevant parties, the US increased military deployments and took a targeted blockade action.
Mr. Speaker, last week I visited the Gulf and I was able to thank in person some of the brave men and women who from day one of the US-Iran conflict have resolutely defended the interests of this country, its people and its partners. I thank them again, Mr. Speaker, in this House for their courage and their service, and I'm sure the whole House will join me in those thanks.
We are about to break down key details most people are missing of what they don't want you to know from the current news, information you likely will not see on local TV. These updates may impact the U.S. real estate housing market, whether you are buying or selling a house, condo, townhome, or manufactured home. This applies to homeowners, landlords, investors, and inherited probate property situations. Our goal is to provide expert-level depth so you can navigate these shifts with confidence rather than reacting to headlines. Go to webuyhouses-cash-or-term.com/resources to access a list of helpful tools and resources you may need.
We've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly. It was over nuclear, very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen. And you know, the amazing thing is we don't, can you believe this? We don't use the Strait. We don't need the Strait. We have our own oil and gas, much more than we need.
Mr. President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance again?
Well, he's done a good job. And Steve and Jared, they've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear, very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Mr. President, as far as the naval blockade is concerned, what's the end game? Is it to force Iran back to the negotiating table? Is it to open up the strait so that gas prices ultimately come down?
Maybe everything. I mean, both of those things, certainly, and more. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen. And you know, the amazing thing is we don't, can you believe this? We don't use the Strait. We don't need the Strait. We have our own oil and gas, much more than we need. We have more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia. Think of this. We produce more. Saudi Arabia, and add Russia to it. Substantially more. And by next year, we'll have double that amount. So we don't need it, but the world needs it. And many ships are heading to our country right now as we speak to load up with the best. Really, I guess you could say, somebody said the best and sweetest. I don't know exactly what sweet is, but when it relates to oil, it's a good thing. But they're coming to our country right now. There are many boats coming to our country. Now, it could very well be this is going to be settled before then. We've been called this morning by the right people, the appropriate people, and they want to work a deal. They would like to work a deal.
Is it your anticipation, Mr. President, that other countries will assist in this effort to blockade Iran and those specific?
Yeah, other countries are going to also.
Which countries, sir?
We don't need other countries, frankly, but they've offered the services. We'll let it be known probably tomorrow.
Has the blockade started, sir?
Yeah, started 10 o'clock.
Bishop Robert Barron supports you and your policies. He praises you for defending religious freedom.
Yeah.
He now says you owe Pope Leo an apology.
Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo. And you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. Now, you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country. But we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that. So there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong. And the other thing is he didn't like what we're doing with respect to Iran, but Iran is wants to be a nuclear nation so they can exterminate the world. Not going to happen.
And Mr. President, on Iran, if a deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan to charge a toll to use the Strait of Hormuz, sir?
Has your timetable changed in any way in terms of ending this conflict?
No, it's going on. Right now, there's no fighting. Right now, we have a blockade. They're doing no business. I didn't like seeing boats come out if they were doing business with Iran, but if they weren't, no boats came out. So now Iran is doing absolutely no business, and we're going to keep it that way very easily. Don't forget, their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. It's a lot.
Do you still want to charge a toll?
We're coming from predominantly going to China, Mr. President. Has Xi Jinping reached out?
No, but we have a very good relationship with China. He would like to see this ended also. He certainly wants it ended. Everyone, I want to see it ended too, but we can't give a nuclear weapon to a group of people that have caused nothing but havoc for 47 years. Look, I'm the president that's done something about it. This should have been, and many other presidents regret that they didn't. You know, so I'm doing something.
Is it your understanding that during this period of time, while the U.S. has instituted this naval blockade, that oil companies will be able to send their oil tankers through the strait, get more oil out from this area?
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing very well there, and I think they're doing very well here. You know, a lot of tankers are coming up here. They're coming in empty and out full. And we have a great capacity to take care of that business.
You previously said that you had no problem with countries sending fuel to Cuba after previously promising to tariff them. What happened? What changed?
Well, we're going to see with Cuba. Cuba's another story. Cuba's been a terribly run country for a long time. It's got a bad system. It's been very oppressive, as you know. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, all of whom just about voted for me. And they were treated very badly. In many cases, family members have been killed. They've been beaten up and mugged, and terrible things happened in Cuba. And Cuba's a failing nation, and we're going to do this, and we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this. But Cuba is a nation that has been horribly run for many years by Castro.
You said based on
Housing Regulator Bill Politic. Regarding those two recent referrals for Letitia James for insurance fraud, do you know if federal prosecutors have evidence to charge?
Well, I don't know. I know she's a very corrupt person. And you're talking about the so-called Attorney General of New York. She's a very corrupt person. That's been proven now. And I know I have nothing to do with it, but they're looking at things all over the place, more than one state concerning her and concerning people like Comey, who's a dirty cop. Comey's a dirty cop, and dirty cops are bad. Nobody likes the police more than me, the law enforcement more than me, but Comey's a totally dirty cop, and we're not going to stand for it.
Under the ceasefire agreement reached by relevant parties, the US increased military deployments and took a targeted blockade action, which will only exacerbate tensions and undermine the already fragile ceasefire agreement and further jeopardize safety of passage through the strait. This is dangerous and irresponsible behavior. We have previously stated China's position. We would like to emphasize once again that China has always adopted a prudent and responsible attitude towards military product exports, implementing strict control in accordance with its own export control laws and regulations and the international obligations it undertakes. The relevant reports are completely fabricated. If the US insists on using this as an excuse to impose additional tariffs on China, China will definitely take resolute countermeasures.
Mr. Speaker, last week I visited the Gulf and I was able to thank in person some of the brave men and women who from day one of the US-Iran conflict have resolutely defended the interests of this country, its people and its partners. I thank them again, Mr. Speaker, in this House for their courage and their service, and I'm sure the whole House will join me in those thanks. Mr. Speaker, whilst in the Gulf, I met leaders and senior military representatives across the region, including the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, the President of the UAE, the King and Crown Prince of Bahrain, the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar, and in recent days I've also spoken to the Sultan of Oman and the Emir of Kuwait. Across all of these conversations, I agreed to deepen our engagement on both defence and economic resilience. Because, Mr. Speaker, they all made it abundantly clear that the solidarity and strength of our partnership with them has been a comfort in these challenging times. And we should not forget that the nature of Iran's response, the indiscriminate attack upon countries who never sought this conflict, the huge damage done across the Gulf to civilian infrastructure with civilian casualties, is abhorrent. It has clearly shocked the region and all of us, and we must bear that in mind now as we lift our sights to the future. Because whilst the ceasefire between the US, Israel and Iran is undeniably welcome, it is also highly fragile. The region remains on edge, and a lot of work is required to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, to de-escalate the situation, leading to a sustainable ceasefire. In pursuit of that goal, we call for Lebanon to be included urgently in the ceasefire. Diplomacy is the right path, and I welcome the talks taking place this week. Hezbollah must disarm, but I'm equally clear Israel's strikes are wrong. They are having devastating humanitarian consequences and pushing Lebanon into a crisis. The bombing should stop now. Mr. Speaker, we also put on record our thanks to Pakistan and other partners for playing such an important role in diplomatic efforts. We hope the process will continue without further escalation. And that applies to the running sore that is the Strait of Hormuz, shamefully exploited by Iran. All of the leaders that I met were crystal clear that freedom of navigation is vital and must be restored, no conditions, no tolls, and no tolerance of Iran holding the world's economy to ransom. Because, Mr. Speaker, the impact of Iran's behaviour in the Strait is causing untold economic damage. It's visible on every petrol forecourt in the country. My guide from the start of this conflict has always been our national interest. That's why we stayed out of the war and why we continue to stay out of the war. And that is why we are working now to restore freedom of navigation in the Middle East, because that is squarely in our national interest. Now, Mr. Speaker, quite clearly, this is not a straightforward task. It will take time. I met UK businesses in energy, shipping, insurance and finance, and they are clear that vessels will not be put through the Strait until they are confident that it's safe to do so. And that's why we're working around the clock on a credible plan to reopen the Strait. And, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm today that together with President Macron, I will convene a summit of leaders this week to drive forward the international effort we have built in recent weeks, bringing together dozens of countries to ensure freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The summit will be focused on two things. First, diplomatic efforts to bring pressure to bear for a negotiated end to the conflict and for the strait to be opened. Second, military planning to provide assurance to shipping as soon as a stable environment can be established. And let me be very clear, this is about safeguarding shipping and supporting freedom of navigation once the conflict ends. Our shared aim here is a coordinated, independent, multinational plan. This is the moment, Mr. Speaker, for clear and calm leadership. And notwithstanding the difficulties, Britain stands ready to play our part. Mr. Speaker, let me now return to the impact of this conflict on our economy. We all know that the consequences will be significant, and that they will last longer than the conflict itself. Now, we continue to monitor the effects, and I remind the House that energy bills went down on the 1st of April, and whatever happens in the Middle East, those bills will stay down until July. We're investing over £50 million to support heating oil customers, and fuel duty is frozen until September, all because of the decisions that this government took at the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, there's a wider point, because we can't stand here in this House and pretend that a global shock threatening to hit the living standards of British people is somehow a novel experience. Britain has been buffeted by crises for decades now, from the 2008 financial crash, through austerity, Brexit, COVID, the war that still rages in Ukraine, and the disastrous premiership of Liz Truss. The response each time has been to try to return to the status quo. A status quo, Mr. Speaker, that manifestly failed working people who saw their living standards flatline and their public services decimated. So this time, Britain's response must and will be different to reflect the changing world that we live in. That starts with our economic security, where during this conflict alone, we've capped energy bills, raised the living wage, strengthened workers' rights, and ended the two-child limit that will lift nearly 500,000 children out of poverty. But, Mr. Speaker, looking forward, it also means a closer economic relationship with our European allies, because Brexit did deep damage to the economy. And the opportunities we now have to strengthen our security and cut the cost of living are simply too big to ignore. It continues, Mr. Speaker, with our energy security, where I say once again, oil and gas will be part of our energy mix for decades to come. But, Mr. Speaker, we do not set the global price for oil and gas. And households across the country are fed up with international events beyond their control pushing up their energy bills, and I stand with them on that. So we will go further and faster on our mission to make Britain energy independent, because that is the only way we get off the fossil fuel rollercoaster and take control of our energy bills. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we must strengthen our defence security. That means boosting our armed forces, as we have, with the biggest sustained investment since the Cold War. It means doubling down on the most successful military alliance the world has ever seen, the NATO alliance, of which this party in government was a founding member. But it also means strengthening the European element of that alliance, taking control of our continent's defence more robustly, deepening our partnerships, as we've done with our deals to build Norwegian frigates on the Clyde, Turkish Typhoons in Lancashire, not only, Mr. Speaker, creating thousands of secure jobs and opportunities for our defence industry right across the country, but also enhancing the way our armed forces can collaborate with our allies. Because, Mr. Speaker, as the Middle East conflict shows once more, the world in which we live has utterly changed. It is more volatile and insecure than at any period in my lifetime, and we must rise to meet it, calmly but with strength. That is exactly what we're doing at home and abroad. We are strengthening our security, taking control of our future, and building a Britain that is fair for all. And I commend the statement to the House.
Kevin Badenoch, Leader of the Opposition.
What do you think of this action? And do you think it will affect real estate housing in your area?
So if you are waiting for the perfect time to seize this opportunity, the time is now.
Are you fed up with carrying the burden of a house you can't afford? Tired of being a landlord? House needs too many repairs? Going through foreclosure? Facing divorce? Income or job loss? Medical bills? Relocation? Inherited an unwanted house? Tired of paying taxes on a vacant house? No matter the reason, condition, or price, we buy houses as is.
WeBuyHousesCashOrTerm.com is your real estate housing consultant when you need to sell your house fast, as is condition, to a cash home buyer and get peace of mind.
Sometimes there is a simple way on how to relieve or get a treatment for the problem. Naturally from an ebook, How to Get Rid of Health Issues, Quickly Without Medication. It's the step-by-step guide you can use right from your kitchen to reclaim your health naturally by someone who's been there. If you're tired of being told medication is your only option, this could change everything for you. Your body has an incredible ability to heal itself while you sleep when you give it the right ingredient. That is available at local grocery store, or you can order them online. Visit howtogetridofhealthissues.com to get your step-by-step guide today.